The three major areas that I usually get asked about is the workplace, where you work, whether you work for somebody or you have your own company. The second area, of course, is relationships, which, you know, we're talking about three different camps here, but they're all kind of intermingled, because when you're at work, you are in a relationship. Even if you work by yourself, you probably have to engage with and have some kind of relationship with your client or customer. But let's just kind of break it up in camps so we can talk about each one. So there's the work environment, there's relationships, and then there's you. There's what we call the personal growth area. You know, as I went through this, here is the deal, is that wherever you go in life, there you are. If you notice that anytime there's a problem in your life, you're around at the time. So what do I mean by that? That's good news. That means that whatever you do, first of all, you work on yourself. Because you are the one that's congruent to all three of those environments. You're the one in the relationship, you're the one in the business area, you're the one obviously with you. So for me, what I learned a long time ago, that I went through the traditional education system where it was bringing in a lot of information, most of which I had no idea what I was supposed to do with. But somebody on the outside told me this is what you need to know to get to the next step. So I went through this traditional route that many of you know very well. However, along the way, my brain got really smart, but I found myself having the same kind of problems in the work environment, in my relationships, and of course internally with myself. So I had to get out of that framework. The first step, I would say, is to really spend some time, whether it's books, whether it's someone like listening to me or other people that you find that could be engaging, that touches that place inside of you I call your intuitive self, that will help you awaken that piece inside of you that is dormant, waiting for you to wake up in each one of those environments. And the greatest way you know how to do that is to understand that for thousands of years there have been spiritual teachings that are created to guide us and navigate through this beautiful place called planet Earth, and do it by how we learn our path steps on each particular path. The work environment can be a very exciting place. It can have its ups and downs. You're not gonna come across people all the time that are gonna be aligned with you. Same thing in relationships. You know, you might go through several relationships, but each one is a process as you go through that will again educate you. It's what you do with that wisdom is what's key. So for me, what I did, one of the first things I did over 20 years ago, I learned more about meditation. I learned more about getting out of my normal realm and exploring who I was going through this world. You know, I went through a phase like everybody did. I made the work environment wrong. I had other people that I didn't agree with. I made them wrong. In relationships, believe you me, I also went through, if she or he didn't agree with me, I would make that wrong. And then same thing with personal growth. I would compare sometimes things in the past to where I'm at right now, and I'd always come up short end of the stick. Sound familiar? Well, what meditation did, what spiritual teachings did, what the wisdom that I sought after did was get me out of that box. And so that is probably the number one thing I would say is, first of all, seek something that's out of the box, that's going to nourish you to see the relationships differently, to see the work environment differently, to see most of all yourself differently with a wider perspective. Because suffering, it doesn't come from the outside world. Suffering comes not from your boss, not from the work environment, doesn't come from the other person in that relationship who's not agreeing with you, and it doesn't even come from your own ego. Suffering comes from how we perceive all of those things, and if your programming in the unconscious mind is programmed to perceive it in a negative way, the whole vibration diminishes, it goes down. And that's why I say no matter how many times you change the outside environment, whether you move this direction or that direction, what's going to happen is you take that programming with you. You've got to break out of that programming. You've got to elevate it in vibration and frequency to a higher level. And that's for me the second step. The highest vibration I know is love and compassion. One only has to talk and listen to the Dalai Lama to understand that The highest vibration is compassion, gratitude, and love. And when you can bring that in, and there's so many disciplines out there that have taught this, bring that into corporate America, bring that into your relationship, right in the middle of that conflict, right in the middle of that emotional upheaval. Learn to bring it in, and it's a practice spiritual muscle that you must work on every day. And the last thing is really practicing that. You know, you have the gymnasium of life that's going to come at you. Tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up. There'll be something, I promise you, that was unpredictable that you did not count on. That is the gymnasium. That's the weights that you get to lift up and down and exercise your spiritual muscle. So the very last thing I would tell you is you need to make that a priority. People say, I will work on myself. I will work on expanding my perception. At the end of the day, when I get all done with this, when I get the kids fed, when I've done my thing with my wife or my husband, and then I will work on myself. And by that time, you're probably like me, going to fall over, pass out in bed, and go to sleep, and you'll put it off. So make that the highest priority of your life. Make it 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, 5 to 10 minutes in the afternoon, and then start to expand on that. And watch how you start to see the environment change. We'll be talking about this a lot in the series to come, because we're going to break this down in incremental steps on what you can do in the workplace, what you can do when the conflict arises, how you can take it from a victim to a victor type of attitude and change your environment. And as these changes happen, as they occur around you, that is the way that it starts to replenish your confidence in your own spiritual growth. And patience is a virtue with that whole process.